Hello everyone, welcome to the new session of Essential Plants Nutrients and Their Functions and Deficiency Symptoms Part 1. So in this session, we are going to study about what are the different essential nutrients for the plant. So there are so many essential nutrients that are required for the growth and maintenance of the plant. So we are going to study about that nutrients. We are going to study about carbon, hydrogen and oxygen required by the plants. The important three nutrients that are required by the plants are nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium. So we are going to cover up about the essentiality of these particular elements, and also what is their function and what are the deficiency symptoms. Okay, so that we are going to cover up in this particular session. The essential nutrient for plants. Generally, 90 to 95% parts of all plants are made up of carbon, hydrogen and oxygen, and the remaining 5 to 10% is made up of other essential plants nutrients. So basically the plant body is made up of 90 to 95 parts. Okay, 90 to 95% parts of the plants are made up of carbon, hydrogen and oxygen, right? So the carbon dioxide is the source for carbon, right? Also the oxygen, and there is hydrogen. So hydrogen, they absorb water from the roots with the help of roots from the soil. So the water contain hydrogen and oxygen, right? So this hydrogen they are getting from the water, right? Absorption of water. And carbon dioxide, it's giving them carbon as well as oxygen, and water is giving hydrogen and oxygen to them. So this is the main three component, that is, or we can say the nutrients that are required by the plants, and the plant body is made by 90 to 95% of these three elements. The following are the essential nutrients for plants. So those are the major nutrients. These are the major nutrients. They are carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and along with the carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium are also there. So these are the essential nutrients for plants, right? So these are the major nutrients. The essential nutrient for the plant, that are the secondary nutrient. They are also are important nutrients like calcium, magnesium and sulfur. So these are the three other essential nutrients required by the plants. There are some micronutrients also like iron, magnesium, zinc, copper, molybdenum, boron and chlorine. So these are the micronutrient. Micronutrient means they are required in a small quantity, but their essentiality is not less. Okay, they are as essential as the macronutrients, but they are required in small quantity, but they are as important as the macro one. There are some other beneficial plant nutrients also. So they are cobalt, sodium, vanadium and silicon. So the three very important that constitute 90 to 95% parts of the plant, that is the carbon, hydrogen and oxygen. So the plant gets carbon from carbon dioxide, right? And oxygen from water and carbon dioxide. So oxygen they are getting from water and carbon dioxide both. And the plant is getting carbon from carbon dioxide. And hydrogen they are getting from water. So what is the source of oxygen for them? Source of oxygen is both water as well as carbon dioxide. Hydrogen and oxygen together again react with water and carbon to form various organic compounds for the plant. So basically they form the carbohydrate, right? So carbohydrate is an ultimate source of energy also, and they are also the component that form the structure, organization of the plant, right? Okay, so let us talk about the first essential nutrients, that is the macro one, that is nitrogen. Nitrogen is absorbed by the roots of the plants in the form of nitrate ion and ammonium ion. So these are the two very important ions of the nitrogen. So plant always absorb nitrogen in these form, though the 72% of air is present in the form of nitrogen, but they do not take this nitrogen in the gaseous form. They always take nitrogen in the ions form, right? So nitrogen, there are many sources by which this atmospheric nitrogen is converted to these different ions. There are some biological factors, there are physical factors, there are chemical factors, right? So that we will study in the nitrogen cycle. But here the main thing is that the nitrogen is absorbed by the roots of plant in the form of nitrate and ammonium ion. Now, what are the functions of nitrogen in the plant? Why this nitrogen is so important for these plants? Nitrogen play a major role in the formation of green color, that is the chlorophyll. For the synthesis of chlorophyll, nitrogen is required, and also for the protein synthesis in the leaves. Okay, so protein synthesis in the leaves is also important. For that, nitrogen is required, and the very important chlorophyll. Without this chlorophyll, photosynthesis process would not be possible. So the plant require nitrogen for the synthesis of chlorophyll as well as for the protein synthesis in the leaves. Nitrogen takes an active part in the formation of amino acids, nucleic acid, vitamins, hormones, enzymes, and protoplasm in the plants. Right? So nitrogen takes active part in the formation of amino acids. So there are different amino acids that contain nitrogen. Nucleic acid, there are nitrogenous bases that also require nitrogen for that. Vitamins, for the synthesis of vitamins, there is a requirement of nitrogen. For hormones, plant hormone, there is a requirement of nitrogen. For enzyme synthesis, again, there is a requirement of nitrogen, right? And also protoplasm in the plant. So nitrogen is very, very important for the structural as well as the some metabolism component of the plants. Other functions of nitrogen in plants: with the use of nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium fertilizers are used by the plants in balanced form, right? So these things, the three different elements, nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium, they are required in a balanced form, and they are present in the fertilizers also, right? So if the nitrogen is not present, the absorption of phosphorus and potassium will be affected. So with the use of nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium fertilizers are used by the plants in a balanced form. Nitrogen play a major role in the formation of green color chlorophyll and proteins in leaves as well. Nitrogen takes an active part in the formation of amino acids, nucleic acid, vitamins, hormone, enzymes, and protoplasm in plants. With the use of nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium fertilizers are used by the plants in a balanced form. So this we have already discussed. It enhances the properties of leafy vegetables and the leaves become juicy, right? So nitrogen enhances the properties of leafy vegetables. So there are many leafy vegetables like spinach. In Hindi we call it palak. Okay, palak. So these leafy vegetables, and they form the leafy leaves to become juicy. Okay, so otherwise the leaf will not be in a good condition and they cannot be utilized as a food, right? So it enhances the properties of leafy vegetables. The use of nitrogen accelerates the vegetative growth but slow down the growth of roots. So vegetative growth means the shoot part, the leaves part of the plants accelerates in their growth, but there is a slowdown in the growth of roots. So this is one of the important function of the nitrogen. Nitrogen help in the rapid decomposition of the organic matter. So there are so many organic matter present in the soil. So that nitrogen helps in the decomposition of these organic matter. Tillering are the high due to the use of nitrogen in crops like sugarcane, wheat, barley and oats. So this particular tillering is due to the use of nitrogen only. Otherwise, the crops will not be used for the tillering like sugarcane, wheat, barley and oats. By using more nitrogen, the plants grow more, due to which the stem of the plants remains soft and the crops start lodging. So the plants grow more. There is a proper growth in the presence of nitrogen, and due to which the stem of the plants remains soft and the crops start lodging. Insects, moth are the most attracted toward the soft plants, and the attack of diseases also increases. So insects, moth, they are attracted towards the soft plant parts, and the attack of disease also increases. So sometimes the yield and the quality of the crops are also reduced due to the excessive application of nitrogen. So excessive application of nitrogen is not important. It should be in a proper proportion. So the yield and quality of the crops is also get affected. Due to the lack of nitrogen, there is a lack of chlorophyll in the leaves of the plants. Okay, so here you can see lack of chlorophyll, it's become yellow, right? Due to which the leaves turn light yellow in color. Due to the high mobility of nitrogen in the plants, the symptoms of the deficiency first appear in the older, that is the lower leaves, and then new leaves are affected on the upper sides. Nitrogen is present and they are highly mobile in the plants. So that also shows the symptoms of deficiency, and this type of deficiency can be visualized first in the older leaves, right? Older or the mature leaves, and then that particular symptom can be seen in the new leaves also. So here you can see the leaves and veins turn yellow. So veins, here you can see all the veins are turning yellow. This is also due to the deficiency of nitrogen. In some plants, the plants become dwarf. So here you can see the dwarf plants due to the deficiency of nitrogen. Tillering is less in crops like wheat, sugar, barley, etc. So the tillering process is affected in the crops like wheat, sugarcane, barley. Due to the excessive deficiency of nitrogen, the leaves turn white in color and the leaves dry and fall down. So here you can see the leaves turning white, yellow to white in color, right? And ultimately the leaves dry and fall down. The problems of fruit drop is seen in the fruit tree. So sometimes we see that fruits also drop from the trees due to the deficiency of nitrogen. So here we have covered some of the deficiency symptoms of the nitrogen. Next important nutrient is the phosphorus. From the point of view of the plant nutrition, phosphorus comes second after nitrogen. So this is the second important macronutrients after nitrogen. Plant absorb phosphorus mainly in the form of H2PO4 and H2PO4 2- ions, right? So this hydrogen phosphate is required for the absorption of the phosphorus. So the phosphorus is absorbed in these ions form. The small amount of phosphorus is absorbed by the plants in the form of pyrophosphate, metaphosphate, that is soluble organic phosphate, phytin and nucleic acid. So some of the phosphorus are also absorbed by the plants in the form of pyrophosphate and metaphosphate. Now, what are the functions of phosphorus in plants? So with the use of phosphorus, the growth of the plant's root is faster and stronger. So this phosphorus is important for the growth of the roots. It promotes the growth of the roots, right? The growth of the root is faster and stronger if the phosphorus is present in the adequate amount in the plant, which is helpful in the sucking other nutrients from the soil. So this is also very important, because if the roots growth is faster, roots are stronger, then only they can absorb the other important nutrients. As we all know, roots are very important for the absorption of water and minerals. So if the roots are not stronger, the growth is affected, then they cannot absorb the water as well as the other important nutrients properly. So for this, phosphorus is very, very important. The use of phosphorus increases the resistance of plants against the pests and diseases. So phosphorus is not only for the growth of the root, but this is also required for the resistance against many pests and diseases. So it has some control over the pest and different diseases in the plants. Lodging resistance increases in the crop. So it also having the logic resistance if the adequate amount of phosphorus is present in the plants. With the use of phosphorus, the production of fruits, flowers and seeds increases. So this is also important for the growth, yield of the plants. Right? So phosphorus, if it is present in proper amount in the plants, then there will be a good production of fruit, flowers and ultimately seeds. And if this phosphorus is not present, then the yield of the crop or fruits or flower will be affected. The quality of the vegetables and grains increases. So here we are having the increased quality in case of vegetables producing crops and the grains producing crop. So this is very, very important. This macronutrients is important in this way. Phosphorus help in the absorption of potassium by the plant. So phosphorus is required for the absorption of potassium. As we have seen in the previous slide that there was a description that shows that the phosphorus is required for the proper and strong growth of the roots. And if the roots are proper grown, then only they can absorb water as well as different minerals. So this phosphorus is present in adequate quantity in the plant, then it will help to absorb potassium. So pollination is a good in crops when the amount of phosphorus is sufficient. Okay, now there is a report that pollination is affected by the quantity of phosphorus present in the plant. So this phosphorus is also required for the proper pollination. If the pollination is not proper, then the yield of the crop or the fruit or the vegetable will be affected. Phosphorus increases the assimilation of the other plant nutrients. So there is a requirement of phosphorus for the assimilation of other nutrients, right? So the assimilation of other nutrients will be affected if the proper quantity of the phosphorus or the adequate quantity of the phosphorus is not present in the plants. Function of phosphorus in plants. The roots development of the leguminous crop is good when the phosphorus is sufficient. If the phosphorus is sufficient in the quantity, then the development of the legume crop is good, which leads to the better fixation of atmospheric and independent nitrogen in plants. So you all know that leguminous crop is important. Why? Because it helps in fixation of nitrogen, right? So better fixation of atmospheric independent nitrogen in plant. For that, there is a proper root development. And in which plant? Leguminous plant. And what is the function of leguminous plants? Help in fixation of nitrogen. So as we all know from the above discussion that phosphorus requirement is there for the proper root development, right? So as a result, the amount of protein in plant also increases. So if there is a proper fixation of nitrogen in the leguminous plant, then there will be protein, proper protein or increase amount of protein synthesis in the plants. In the presence of phosphorus, fruits come early, fruits are formed early and the crop mature early. So this is good as they can protect the plant in some way from the disease also. If the fruit form early, the fruits form early, then fruit get matured early also. So they can bypass the disease and some other adverse condition of the weather. So in this way also the phosphorus is required in an adequate quantity in the plants. Phosphorus reduces the side effects of nitrogen. So we have studied about there are so many side effects of the nitrogen, so many side effects of the nitrogen in the plant. So phosphorus reduces that side effects. Okay, so the use of phosphorus increases the yield and the quality of the crop. With the use of phosphorus, plant starch is easily converted into sugar. So again, phosphorus is required for the conversion of starch to sugar. Now, there are some deficiency symptoms of phosphorus in plants. If the less quantity of phosphorus in plant is there, then what are the deficiency symptoms? So let us discuss about that. Due to the high mobility of the phosphorus in plants, the symptoms of phosphorus deficiency first appear on the lower leaves, that is mature leaves, and then appear to the upper leaves. So first time the symptoms of phosphorus deficiency, where we can see in the lower leaves or mature leaves, right? Mature leaves. Okay, and then that symptoms start appearing in the upper leaves or new leaves. Due to the deficiency of the phosphorus, the leaves become dark green in color and the lower surface of the leaves become light purple or brown in color. So very, very important. This point is very important for the phosphorus deficiency, right? So if the phosphorus is present in the less amount, okay, so the deficiency of phosphorus that can be seen, the leaves become very dark in color. Okay, dark, abnormal behavior, dark in color, and the lower surface of the leaf that become light purple or brown in color. The other deficiency of the symptoms of the phosphorus are, due to the deficiency of phosphorus, the leaves turn blue in pulse crop. Turn blue in pulse crop. That is, the pulse means the plant that gives you dals. In Hindi we call as dals. So these dal plant or the pulse crop, the leaves become blue in color, slight blue in color. This shows the deficiency of phosphorus. In tobacco plant, the leaves become thin and sharp in the shape of roseate. Roseate means the group of leaves like this. Okay, so the shape, and it becomes very thin and sharp in the shape. So this is the deficiency of the tobacco plant. Due to the lack of phosphorus, the leaves in potato take shape of a cup. Very, very important. It becomes it curl and it becomes shape of a cup. So this is one of these symptoms that can be seen in the potato plants plant due to the lack of phosphorus. Deficiency of phosphorus causes small leaves in the broad-leaved plant. The length of the internode is also less. Due to the lack of phosphorus, the growth and the development of the roots of the plant is very low. So it is affecting the growth of the roots also, due to which the roots remain shallow and sometimes dry up. So sometimes the roots become dry up also, or they are very shallow. There is a decrease and delay in the germination of 1 year annual plant, and the crop also mature late. So there is a decrease and delay, very important. Decrease and delay is due to which of the following elements? Deficiency of which of the following elements? So the answer is phosphorus. So this is very important for the examination point of view. By the time the crop shows sign of phosphorus deficiency, the time for phosphate application has passed, but the deficiency can overcome in the long duration crops and fruit trees. So it can overcome if the plant is for long duration crop, means it takes longer duration to get mature, or also for the fruit trees. Nowadays, phosphatic fertilizer have also become available in the liquid form in the market. So phosphorus deficiency can be overcome by spraying the appropriate amount of phosphatic fertilizer. So there are so many fertilizers that can be used to overcome this deficiency symptoms of the phosphorus. So that can be used. But to save the crop from the effects of phosphorus deficiency, it is the best that the amount of phosphate must be determined while preparing the crop plan. So first of all, it is better to check whether the soil is having adequate amount of phosphorus or not, right? So we can apply the phosphate at that particular time, and that will be best for crop growth. Okay, so this is all about this session. In the next session, we are going to cover up some of the other important elements or the nutrients. Thank you very much.